Bismillah, wassalatu wassalamu ala rasulillah. Rabbi shrah li sadri wa yassir li amri wahlul uqdatam min lisani yafqahu qawli. Rabbi yassir wa la tuassir wa tammim bil khair. Let's begin lesson number 11, which is about Mubtada and Khabar, the things that we already know about. And now we have a little bit more details about Mubtada and Khabar. So first of all, in the beginning of the lesson, we will discuss about types of Mubtada or subject. As we know that Mubtada is also called subject when it is used in a nominal sentence. So there are only two types of sentences, nominal sentence, Jumla Ismiya, and verbal sentence, Jumla Fi'liya. And we know that Mubtada and Khabar is only about a nominal sentence, which is a Jumla Ismiya. In the previous lesson, one of the previous lessons, we have discussed about the types of marifa, like how many types of marifa are there. And we have discussed that there are 7 types of definite noun or marifa. So out of those 7 types, we have 6 of them over here, and 1 of them has been replaced. So first one is alamun, as we know, proper noun, definite noun. Ismun alamun. So as we can see here, Allahu Ghafurun. So Ismul Jalala will be Mubtada and Ghafurun will be Khabar. So as we said that we are discussing about the Mubtada, and we can see that it is normally definite. It is normally definite noun. It is normally Marifatun. So we can see here that Ismul Jalala is Marifa and Khabar is generally or normally it is a common noun. So Allahu Ismul Jalala is Marifa and Ghafurun is Nakira. Similarly, it can be Damir, a pronoun, personal pronoun. For example, Ana Talibun. It can be Ana, Huwa, Hiya, Nahnu. And this one will be Mubtada and Talibun will be Khabar. Again, we can see that Talibun is a common noun. Then we have Ismu Isharatin, a demonstrative pronoun. Hadha masjidun, so hadha will be mubtada and masjidun will be khabar. And then we have ismun mawsulun, relative pronoun, alladhi, alladhina, allati, all of them. So it can be mubtada as well, alladhi, and the one ja'a talibun, the one who came is a student. So it is in the place of, or it is subject, and ja'a talibun is predicate. Ja'a, basically it's a verbal sentence, and we know that a verbal sentence can also be a predicate. It can also be a predicate. Then we have muhallan bil-al, that a noun, we add al to that. So we say al-Qur'anu, it will be mubtada, and kitabullahi will be khabar. Al-Qur'anu, kitabullahi. And we know that it gives the meaning of is or am. So Quran is the book of Allah. So we have discussed that if we put is RM, so the part that comes before is RM will be Mubtada, and the part that comes after that will be Khabar. And here, when we discussed about the types of Marifa, we discussed about Monada. But here we don't have Monada. The 7th one, we have Masdarun Mu'awwalun, and we have discussed about it in the previous lesson. So when we say Wa antasumu, it will be in the place of Mubtada, and Khayrun will be Khabar. And we know that Lakum is Jar Majroor. So basically it will be Siyamukum Khayrul Lakum. Wa antasumu Khayrul Lakum. So Wa antasumu, it is in the place of Mubtada. So it is Mahal and Mubtada, and Khayrun is Khabar. So now we have discussed about the types of Mubtada that are generally that are definite. Similarly, we can see over here that Mubtada may be indefinite in the following circumstances. It can be Nakira, but there have to be some certain reasons for Mubtada to be Nakira. The first reason is when it is Shibhu Jumlatin. Shibhu Jumlatin basically means that it resembles a sentence, but it is not a complete sentence. That's why it is called Shibhu Jumlatin. We need to know the difference between Shibhu Jumla and Jumla. Jumla basically consists of subject and predicate, whereas Shibhu Jumla consists of only predicate and it needs subject. That's why we have discussed many times that jar majroor can never become mubtada, they will always be khabar. And similarly, dharf and mudaf alayh can never become mubtada, they will always be khabar. And the reason is clear now, because why they cannot be mubtada? Because they are incomplete. They cannot communicate the complete meaning. For example, you see when you say on the table, al maktab, on the table, it doesn't make sense. But when we say al kitabu al maktabi, the book is on the table, now it will be a complete sentence. So the circumstances that we have discussed, we have to discuss about. We say li akhun. So now li is jar majroor. Li harf jar and ya al mutakallim will be majroor, and akhun will be mubtada. So we say mubtada muakhar, and li is khabar muqaddam. Yani the khabar has come first, and mubtada has been delayed. And we need to know that whenever we have jar majroor as mubtada, as khabar, sorry, then mubtada will be a common noun. Normally it is a common noun. So this is, as we said, the circumstances. So this is one of the reasons, or one of the circumstances that we need to notice, that whenever we have jar majroor, and when they come in the beginning of the sentence, number one, they will always be khabar, and number two, mubtada will be a common noun. Similarly, we see inda. We know that inda is a dharf, and na is basically a pronoun, and the combination of dharf and pronoun, indana, we have, so we call this dharf plus mudaf alayh, the combination of dharf plus mudaf alayh. So indana also, it cannot be mubtada, it will always be khabar, and sayyaratun will be mubtada. So we say that mubtada muakhar, that mubtada has come late, and the subject, which is the predicate, which is khabar, it has come first. So again, whether the khabar is shibhu jumla, which is basically jar majroor, or dharf plus mudaf alayh, it will always come in the beginning of the sentence, whereas it will always be a khabar, and mubtada will be a common noun, as you can see over here. It will be a common noun. Do you remember the example of the Quran that we have discussed many times of shibhu jumla? Fi qulubihim maradun. Fi qulubihim, as we can see here, that fi and qulubihim is basically jar majroor, so that's why it has come first, and maradun is mubtada that has been delayed. So maradun will be mubtada, and fi qulubihim will be khabar. In the Quran, fi qulubihim maradun. And ismul istifham like man, kaifa, ma, all of them, like we have, there are like around 10 asma istifham. So they cannot be, as we can see here, that if they are mubtada, they have to be mubtada when the khabar is a common noun as well. So both of them, basically, man is a common noun and maridun is a common noun. So when we have two common nouns together, then we will say, we will declare or decide that the first one will be mubtada and the second one will be khabar. So the circumstances are that shibhu jumla, which is jar majroor, dharf plus mudaf alayh, and similarly asma al-istifham, they will be indefinite, and they will be always mubtada, and khabar will definitely come before shibhu jumla and dharf. And here man is istifham, and we know that huruf al-istifham, normally they come in the beginning of the sentence, and that's why we will say that man is mubtada and maridun is khabar. Now both of them are common nouns, as we can see here. Man is a common noun and maridun is a common noun. So when we have two common nouns together, we will say that the first one is mubtada and the second one is khabar. Now we talk about types of predicate, or the types of khabar. There are three types of predicate. Number one, mufradun. Mufradun, as we know, that it means just single. So that means it can be a single word. For example, Allahu Ghafurun. So Ismul Jalala will be mubtada and Ghafurun will be khabar. And this is mufradun, and it is just a word. Jumlatun. Khabar can be a complete sentence. A complete sentence can be a khabar as well. For example, we say Wallahu, so Ismul Jalala is mubtada and Huwal Ghafuru is khabar. Huwal Ghafuru is a complete sentence as well, because Huwa is mubtada and Al Ghafuru is khabar. So because we have here Mubtada and Khabar, and again we have Mubtada and Khabar, so this complete sentence will be in the place of Khabar. So we will say Wallahu is Mubtada and Huwal Ghafuru is Khabar. And we know that this is a nominal sentence. Why it's a nominal sentence? Because it starts with the pronoun. Similarly, we have Wallahu Mubtada and Khalaqakum, he created all of you, and we know that Khalaqa is a verb. So this is fail, and kum fail plus file, and kum is maful bihi. Khalaqakum is a complete sentence. He created you. Who created you? Wallahu khalaqakum. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created you. So we can see here that Ismul Jalala is Mubtada, and the verbal sentence is a predicate, it is Khabar. So basically the grammarians, they say, in fact, in khalaqa, we have the dhamir of huwa. So they say that basically huwa is Khabar. So Wallahu will be Mubtada and khalaqakum will be Khabar. So Jumla, nominal sentence and verbal sentence, a complete sentence can be Khabar as well. So now the sentence is expanding, and before we have already learned about Mubtada and Khabar, but now we are learning that the complete sentence can be Khabar as well. And Shibhu Jumlatin, as we know that Shibhu Jumla means Jar Majroor or Dharf plus Mudaf alayh. So it can also be a Khabar. In this case, we can say that Alhamdulillah is Alhamdu is Mubtada and Lillahi is Khabar. So this is also Shibhu Jumla. So Khabar is only three types. Either it can be Mufrad, yani one word. It can be Jumla, which can be nominal sentence and verbal sentence, and also Shibhu Jumla or Jar Majroor or Dharf Mudaf alayh. It can also be Khabar. Agreement between subject and predicate. We have learned, or we have already learned, and we know this, that Mubtada and predicate are generally equal in number and gender. In the past, we used to say that they are equal in number and gender, but now I have placed the word generally because sometimes there is a possibility that they cannot be equal in number and gender. So inshallah, we will learn about it later. For example, if I give you the example from the Quran, al-ma'alu wal-banuna zinatul hayatid dunya. So al-ma'alu wal-banuna, as we can see that this is like both of them are masculine, but zinatun is feminine. So there is a possibility, but as of now, we will see, and what we have learned, we will focus on that, Mubtada, subject and predicate, they are equal in number and gender. For example, huwa muslimun, huwa Mubtada and muslimun Khabar. Similarly, huma muslimani, huma Mubtada and muslimani Khabar. So huma means two. They both of them are Muslims. He is a Muslim, and hum muslimuna, they are Muslims. So hum, they, and muslimuna. So this is subject and this is predicate. So as of now, we are discussing and focusing that Mubtada and predicate, they are equal in number and gender. Similarly, hiya means she. So this is for the feminine. That's why we have muslimatun. She is a muslima. Huma muslimatani, both of them. And of course, we know that when we are talking about two ladies, we will say huma muslimatani. Both of them are Muslims. And similarly, when we talk about all of them are Muslims and they are referring to the feminine, we will say hunna muslimatun. All of them are Muslims. And we know about this. We have discussed about this several times. Now I have just a few observations over here. Number one, if two proper nouns come together, then how will we decide which one is Mubtada and which one is Khabar? Very easy. For example, we see here, Ana Muhammadun. So Ana, we know it's a proper noun, and Muhammadun is a proper noun. So if two proper nouns come together, we will say the first one is Mubtada and the second one is Khabar. Ana Muhammadun, Mubtada and Khabar. Similarly, in the Quran, we have the example from Surah Al-Ikhlas, Allahu as-Samad, Allahu as-Samad, right? So Ismul Jalala will be Mubtada and as-Samad will be Khabar. We know that both of them are proper nouns. So if we have two proper nouns together, we will say that the first one is Mubtada and the second one is Khabar. And why do we say that? Because generally, Mubtada comes first and Khabar comes after that. So that is a general rule. there is a possibility that, as we have discussed in the beginning of the lesson, that Khabar can come before Mubtada, but still we will say that normally Mubtada comes first, and then after that we have Khabar. Similarly, if we have two common nouns together, as we discussed earlier, then the first noun will be Mubtada and the second noun will be Khabar. And note, all Asma'ul Istifham are common nouns. So all Asma'ul Istifham, we have man, ma, mata, mada, kaifa, kam, aina, lima, limada. So all of them, they are called Asma'ul Istifham. They are used to ask questions, and all of them will be common nouns. All right, let's begin the lesson. So any questions based on the discussion that we have, the things that we have discussed? I believe that all of them, almost, all of them, we have discussed about them in detail in book 2, in book 1, and also in the beginning of book number 3. So inshallah, I believe that all of them are clear. Any questions?
No, it's clear.
All right, so let's begin the lesson now. Ad-Darsu al-Hadi Ashara, lesson number 11. Al-Mudarrisu, the teacher. At-Tullabu qalilun. So now we can see over here, At-Tullabu, as we can see that it is the plural of talibun. So it is plural, that's why the khabar is also plural. So this is a regular, it's a small nominal sentence. We will say that At-Tullabu is Mubtada and qalilun is khabar. There are a few students. Aina al-akharuna, where are the others? Now, if you remember, we have discussed that aina and mata, they cannot be mubtada. These are the only two small istifham that cannot be mubtada. They will always be khabar. Why? Because they give the meaning of dharf, and we know that dharf can never ever be mubtada. So we will say that al-akharuna is basically aina al-akharuna. So akharuna will be mubtada and aina will be khabar. Aina al-akharuna, where are the others? Aliyun, Ali. So we have now small, beautiful sentences, and this is the beauty of these books, that we have whatever we discussed in the beginning of the lesson, we have lots of practice, and now we will see the implementation of the rules that we have learned earlier. Umaru ghaibun, so we can see that Umaru is mamnu min as-sarf, that's why it doesn't have tanween. Umaru ghaibun, Umaru mubtada, ghaibun khabar. Umar is absent. Wa Hamidun, and Hamid mubtada. And al-Madiri is with the manager, it's khabar. So what kind of khabar is this? Dharf plus mudaf ilayh. Dharf plus mudaf ilayh. And we know that inda is a special mudaf, and that's why the noun that comes after that will be mudaf ilayh. And we know that this waw is waw al-atf, which is basically used to connect two ideas. So Umaru ghaibun, here ghaibun is mufrad. Here wa hamidun inda al-mudiri, so here it is shibhu jumla or dharf plus mudaf alayh. Wa and ishaqu is also mamnu min as-sarf. Fil mirhadi, and ishaq is in the toilet. So fil mirhad, also it is shibhu jumla, jar majroor, so this is also shibhu jumla, it is also khabar. So ishaq will be mubtada and fil mirhadi will be khabar. Wal hasanu, and hasan, so hasanu is mubtada, and dhahaba ila ghurfat al-muraqibi, he went to the room of the controller. So here we can see that dhahaba, this is a complete verbal sentence, and we have discussed that a verbal sentence can also be a khabar as well. So hasan will be mubtada, and dhahaba ila ghurfat al-muraqibi, the complete sentence will be khabar. Basically, dhahaba, in dhahaba we have huwa, so that's why we will say that dhahaba, this is also khabar. So if we have two persons over here, then we will say dhahaba, and if we have three, then we will say dhahabu. So Umaru ghaibun, Umar is absent. Wa Hamidun inda al-Madiri, and Hamid is with the manager. Wa Ishaqu fil mirhadi, and Ishaq is in the toilet. Wa Hasanu dhahaba ila ghurfat al-muraqibi, and Hassan went to the room of the controller. Abdul Razzaqi, what kind of construction is this?
مضاف لا يستر مضاف مضاف.
Excellent. Yes, Abdul Razaki. So basically it's a name. That's why there is no need to translate it like Abdullahi, Abdul Kareem. So we don't need to translate it. Abdul Razaki. So we have here the other student was Zubairu. And we can see here that sometimes the Arabs, they add al, and this is al, this is basically idafi, this is extra. Similarly here it is extra. It doesn't mean that before it was a common noun and now it has become a proper noun. It is already a proper noun, but sometimes the Arabs, they use al, and there are very few nouns. Was Zubairu, so Zubair is Mubtada. Akhuhu maridun. Now we can see here that a complete nominal sentence is Khabar. Complete nominal sentence. Why? Akhuhu Mubtada and maridun Khabar. So it is a complete nominal sentence. So a complete nominal sentence can also be Khabar. So we will say that Az-Zubairu is Mubtada and Akhuhu Maridun is a Khabar. Wa qad, wa and qad, indeed, certainly, and we know that qad is like harf al-tahqiq. It is used for emphasis. Wa qad ista'adhana, and he indeed asked for the permission al-mudira, of the manager. So ista'adhana is fi'l plus fa'il, and al-mudira is maf'ul bihi. And he has asked, or he has taken the permission of the manager fi dhahabi, to go ila al-mustashfa, to the hospital. And he has indeed, or certainly he has taken the permission of the manager to go to the hospital. And we can see over here the example from the Quran, قَدْ أَفْلَحَ الْمُؤْمِنُونَ, the believers have attained true success. So basically it gives the meaning of have, and also it is translated as certainly or indeed. So when we use qad with the past tense, then it gives the meaning of certainly or indeed. وَقَدْ إِسْتَأْذَنَ, and he has indeed, and we know that qad is basically mamnu, it is majzoom, yani it is sakin, dal is sakin. So when we connect it, because ista'dhana, you can see here that the hamza of ista'dhana is hamzatul wasl. Why it's hamzatul wasl? The small sad, it tells us that this is hamzatul wasl. So we will say وَقَدْ إِسْتَأْذَنَ, وَقَدْ إِسْتَأْذَنَ, وَقَدْ إِسْتَأْذَنَ الْمُدِيرَ, and he has taken the permission of the manager فِي الذَّهَابِ إِلَى الْمُسْتَشْفَى, to go to the hospital. Here we will read it as qad, because after that we don't have al, or we don't have hamzatul istifham. This is hamzatul qata'. But here we have hamzatul istifham. So when we connect it, we will connect it with kasra. Al-mudarrisu, the teacher. Madha bihi. Okay, which one will be the subject and which one will be the predicate?
ماذا
Bihi is predicate.
Excellent. Yes, khabar. Because madha is either it can be ma or it can be madha. Both of them are used to ask questions. So madha bihi, what's wrong with him? So madha will be mubtada and bihi will be khabar. Excellent. Abdul Razak, bihi maghasun. Okay, now which one will be mubtada and which one will be khabar? Yes, please.
Bihi khabar muqaddam, sir.
Excellent.
معاصن
And maghasun is mubtada muakhar. Maghasun, like colic pain or stomachache. So we will say that he has a stomachache, or he is suffering from colic pain. So here we will say that maghasun is mubtada and bihi is khabar. So mubtada muakhar and khabar muqaddam. So this part, most of this part, as we know that it deals with the nominal sentence, and now we move on to the verbal sentence. Yadkhulu, he enters, who enters, Hamidun, Hamid, wa Ishaqu, and Ishaq. So Hamid and Ishaq enter, wa yajlisani, and they both sit, fi maq'adayhima, in their seats. Maq'adayhima, do you remember this construction? It was maq'adani, maq'adani, maq'adaini, 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 because it is used as mudaf, the noon has been dropped. So that's why it has become maq'adayhima. And it is in the place of, it is majroor because of harf jar fi. Wa yajlisani, and they both sit fi maq'adayhima, on their seats. Al-Mudarrisu, the teacher. Ya Hamidu, O Hamid, Ka'annaka, it seems as if, or it seems as though, Turidu, want. So we know that Ka'anna needs ism as well. So Ka will be ismu Ka'anna, and the rest of the part will be Khabaru Ka'anna. Ka'annaka, it seems though, Turidu, you want, An taqula, to say shay'an, something. It seems that you want to say something. All right, so turidu an taqula shay'an will be in the place of khabaru ka'anna, because ka is ismu ka'anna. So basically turidu is a verbal sentence, and after turidu we have an taqula and shay'an. Why is shay'an mansub over here?
منصوب sir.
It is maf'ul bihi for taqula. تقول أنت يعني أنت تقول يعني تريد أنت تقول شيئا. So here basically it is تريد أن تقول شيئا. It seems that you want to say something. So تريد أن تقول شيئا, the complete sentence will be خبرك أن, because ka is ismuk anna. And then because it's a verbal sentence, the verbal sentence can be further analyzed. So when we further analyze it, we will say that turidu is basically fail plus fa'il, and an taqula shay'an is in the place of maf'ul bihi. It seems, or turidu will be fail plus fa'il, an taqula will be maf'ul bihi for turidu, and then an taqula, here taqula will be fail plus fa'il, and shay'an will be maf'ul bihi. It seems that you want to say something. Hal ladayka su'alun? Do you have a question? Where is Mubtada and where is Khabar? Very simple. Su'alun is Mubtada and ladayka is Khabar. Yeah, hal is istifham? Yes. So ladayka, we know that lada is also a dharf, and dharf cannot be Mubtada, it will always be Khabar. Hamidun, na'am. Yes. So when he says na'am, that means that after that something is mahdhuf. Yani na'am, uridu as'ala su'alan. Yes, I want to ask a question, but only na'am is enough over here. Ana matlubun, I am required. Matlubun on the pattern of maf'ulun, right? Maf'ulun, yes. So talaba yatlubu, fahuwa talibun, fadhaka matlubun. So someone who is required, someone who is demanded, someone who is needed. So here we will say that ana matlubun, I am needed. Ana will be mubtada and matlubun will be khabar. Al-ana now, dharf, fi nadi, in the club, al-riyadi, sports. So I am required in the sports club. So we know that al-an is a dharf, and fi nadi al-riyadi is jar majroor, so they cannot be the part of the construction. So we will say that ana is mubtada and matlubun is khabar. Afa adhabu am ahdar ad-darsa? Do I go or do I attend the lesson? Afa. So as we can see here that a is harf istifham, which is used to ask a question. Fa is here is an additional particle. It is a particle as well, and it is used a lot in the Quran as well, as we have discussed in the previous lesson. Afa hasibtum annama, afa hasibtum. Similarly, we have afara'aytum ma tahruthun. There are many examples of afa. So sometimes it will be a plus fa, and sometimes it will be a plus wa. These expressions are used in the Quran. So afa adhabu, so it's basically an additional particle which is used over here. Afa adhabu am ahdaru darsa? Do I go or do I attend the lesson? Al-mudarrisu an tahdura ad-darsa khayrun lak. So as we can see here, an tahdura ad-darsa. So here it is mubtada, and it's basically huduraka, you're attending lesson. Khayrun will be khabar. So an tahdura ad-darsa is in the place of mubtada, khayrun is khabar, and laka is jar majroor. Your attending lesson is good for you, or if you attend the lesson, it is good for you. Yumkinuka, it is possible for you. So yumkinu is fail, ka is maful bihi, adhahabu is fa'il. Yumkinuka adhahabu, it is possible for you to go. إلى النادي, to the club, في الفسحة, during the break. It's possible for you to go during the break. So till here, inshallah, I'm sure everything is clear. So we move on. Again, we have verbal sentence. يدخل الحسن, Hasan enters. وبيده علبة, and in his hand, and there is a tin in his hand. So يدخل الحسن, this is a verbal sentence we can see here because it starts with verb, and وبيده, wa is and this is a nominal sentence. علبة will be مبتدا مؤخر, and بيده will be خبر مقدم. Why? Because ba is حرف جر and يده is مجرور, so that's why it is خبر مؤخر. And we know that with all the body parts, we use the preposition of ba. It is used with all the body parts. ماذا في العلبة يا حسن? What is in the tin, O Hasan? So ماذا will be مبتدا, and في العلبة يا حسن, it will be خبر. Here we have علبة, and here we have العلبة. Why? Or in this context, في العلبة. Very simple thing we have discussed many times. The same rule in English, the same rule in Arabic, that if we mention something first, normally if it's a common noun, it will be a common noun. And when we discuss the same thing for the second time, or when we mention it for the second time, then it becomes the proper noun. For example, you say, I have a pen, the pen is blue. So first time you say, I have a pen, but the second time when you talk about the pen again, you say, the pen is blue. Similarly, here we have ulbatun, it's a common noun, but when we talk about it for the second time, then it will be a proper noun. Fiha tabashiru, it consists of chalks, the writing chalks, like in the past, we used to have blackboard and we used to write with the chalks. So tabashiru is mamnu min as-sarf, because it is on the pattern of mafa'ilu. Mafa'ilu. Fiha tabashiru, so tabashiru will be mubtada and fiha will be khabar. Yadkhul al-muraqibu, then again we have a verbal sentence. The controller enters. وَمَعَهُ طَالِبٌ جَدِيدٌ, and with him is a new student. So here طَالِبٌ جَدِيدٌ will be mubtada and ma'ahu will be khabar. Why? Because ma is also used as a verb, and also it is used as a preposition. In either case, it will be only khabar, it cannot be mubtada. So طَالِبٌ جَدِيدٌ, this is the sifa of طالب. طالب is mawsuf and jadidun is sifa. And with him, there is a new student. وَيُسَلِّمَانِ, and both of them greet, or both of them say assalamu alaikum. So because we have here al-muraqibu wa talibu, we have two people. So if we have two persons, then after that the verb has to be dual, because the verb is basically khabar for both of them, al-muraqibu wa talibu. So we know that when we use a verbal sentence as a khabar, then it has to be used according to the noun. For example, we say Bilalun dhahaba, Bilal went. But if we have Bilalun wa Hamidun, we will say dhahaba. And if we have Bilalun wa Hamidun wa Muhammadun, and then we will say dhahabu. So we have to follow, because we know that mubtada and khabar, they follow each other in number and gender. So when we have one person and the verbal sentence is khabar, then it has to be singular. If we have two persons, then the verbal sentence has to be dual. And if we have three persons as mubtada, then the verbal sentence has to be for the plural. Did you get the idea? Okay. Al-muraqibu, the controller. Hadha talibun jadidun. Again, we have a nominal sentence. Hadha is mubtada and talibun jadidun is khabar. Talibun is basically khabar and jadidun is the adjective that we have used for the student. Hadha talibun, student. This is a new student. Ahlan wa sahlan. Okay, here, is there anything that has been dropped? Is there anything that is mahdhuf? Of course, ahlan wa sahlan.
Yes,
Basically, the subject, the doer is basically mahdhuf, has been dropped. because ahlan wa sahlan is basically, it is maf'ul bihi. So whenever we see maf'ul bihi, that means before there was a file plus file, and both of them are, and they have been dropped, and we have discussed about this in book number 2. It's basically ataita ahlan wa ataita sahlan, as all of them, and this is wajib over here, that we have to drop the subject. The subject has to be dropped. Kayfa haluka. Here, what do you think? Which one has to be the subject and which one has to be the predicate?
Kaifa is Mubtada, Ustad, and haluka is predicate.
Okay, and why do you say that?
Kaifa is istifham, so it is subject, Ustad.
Okay, haluka is basically, it's a proper noun, right? Because we have ka, so hal is a common noun, but when we add the attached, we use the attached pronoun, then it becomes a proper noun. Generally, the grammarians, they say that a proper noun has to be mubtada and common noun has to be khabar, right? Because kaifa is harf istifham, and we have discussed that all uhruf al-istifham, all the words that are used to ask question, they are common nouns. So we will say that haluka is mubtada and kaifa is khabar. However, there are two opinions. Even if we say kaifa is mubtada and haluka is khabar, that is okay, that's permissible. So it is up to you. You can say that kaifa is mubtada and haluka is khabar. Afsahu, the best would be to say haluka is mubtada and kaifa is khabar. Why? Because this is a proper noun and this is a common noun. And you know that when we have a common noun and proper noun, then generally the common noun has to be mubtada and proper noun has to be mubtada and common noun has to be khabar. Like we have looked at the example, Allahu Ghafurun. So we have said that Ismu Jalala is mubtada and Ghafurun is a common noun, that is khabar.
Because of ka, because of the ka, it changes. This also may be mubtada, Ustad.
It can be mubtada, yeah. So we can say that haluka is mubtada and kaifa is khabar. Because it's a proper noun. Haluka is a proper noun and kaifa is a common noun. But if you say kaifa is mubtada and haluka is khabar, that is okay. But this opinion is stronger. This is a stronger opinion. Why? Because haluka is a proper noun. It is definite and kaifa is indefinite.
Okay.
Bikhairin. Okay, now is there something mahdhuf over here? Of course, ana bikhairin, right? So ana is mahdhuf, bikhairin. So ana is mubtada and bikhairin is khabar. So also in this lesson, inshallah, in the exercises we will learn, and that's one of the most important topics of Arabic language, where sometimes mubtada is mahdhuf and sometimes khabar is mahdhuf. Okay, so this is here we are practicing now with the small sentences, and now we can see here that when we say bikhairin, that means that this is mafhum, this is understood that you want to say ana bikhairin. So we will say that ana is mahdhuf, so ana is mubtada and bikhairin is khabar. Walhamdulillah, and we know that this is an expression, walhamdulillah, and praise be to Allah. So here fail plus file is mahdhuf, and here mubtada is mahdhuf. Al-mudarrisu, the teacher. Masmuka, what is your name? Again, we can say that ismuka is basically mubtada and ma is khabar. However, if we say ma is mubtada and ismuka is khabar, that is also okay. Huwa, he, Munirun, his name is Munir. So we don't know who that person is, so that's why, or we are not sure about his name, so that's why we say Munirun, Munir. Al-mudarrisu, the teacher. Al-maniyun anta, are you German? Okay, again here, one more thing, that these are the things that I didn't discuss in the handouts when we discussed in the beginning. So now we can see over here that sometimes without any reason, without any specific reason, what we can do, that we can mubtada, we can bring it, we can make it muakhar, we can bring it late, and khabar can come first. So it was basically anta almaniyun, are you German? But if you say almaniyun anta, are you German, is also okay. So this is taqdeem wa ta'khir, but this is optional. Here we have the option, and when we do the exercises, we will discuss more about it. And the only thing that you need to know over here is that this is also permissible. This is also permissible. Almaniyun anta, basically it was anta almaniyun. So anta will be mubtada and almaniyun will be khabar. Munirun, munir, la, no, baritaniyun. Okay, baritaniyun. What will be the translation?
He's a British.
Okay, so now where
No,
has
he-
or he's asking him now directly anta. So he will say, if he wants to say that I am British, so when you translate it in English, you will translate it completely. You will say I am British, right? Baritaniyun. And yeah, this is ya nasb, as we know that when we want to show the association of someone with something. So it's basically ana baritaniyun. So we know that ana is mahdhuf, and only it's enough to say baritaniyun, I am British. So this is enough to say that. So we will say that Mubtada is mahdhuf, and here we have the khabar only. And this is again the practice where we need to know that sometimes Mubtada can be dropped and sometimes khabar can be dropped. And this usloob is used a lot in the Quran. Even when we start Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim, when we say Bismillah, already something is dropped. Yani abda'u bismillahi, I start in the name of Allah. So when we translate it in English, we say I begin or I start. Or we can say ibtada'i bismillahi, my beginning is in the name of Allah. So whenever we say bismillahi, that means something is mahdhuf, something has been dropped. And what has been dropped, I begin in the name of Allah. So when we look at the translation in English, we will find I begin in the name of Allah. But in Arabic, we simply say Bismillahi. So that means I begin in the name of Allah. Aina darasta lughat al-arabiyyata ya Muniru? Where did you study Arabic language, O Munir? What kind of sentence is this? Quickly. Verbal sentence. Why do you need to think about it? Verbal sentence. Verbal darasta. We know that aina. Yeah, aina cannot be mubtada. So and number one. Number two, when we use it in a verbal sentence, then we know that it is used as maf'ul fihi. You remember that? Maf'ul fihi. So basically, aina is maf'ul fihi. Darasta is fail plus file. Anta darasta fail plus file. And al-lughat al-arabiyyata is maf'ul bihi. Ya Muniru, O Munir. So where did you learn Arabic language, O Munir? So fail plus file and maf'ul bihi, and aina is simply it's a dharf. It is in the place of maf'ul bihi. So maf'ul fihi, in fact, maf'ul fihi, it is in the place of dharf or maf'ul fihi. So this is a verbal sentence, not nominal sentence. This is a verbal sentence. Darastuha, I learned it fi madrasatin islamiyatin, in an Islamic school. Okay, ha refers to what?
Lughatul Arabiyya.
Excellent. So Lughatul Arabiyya, excellent. Darastu fail plus file, ha maf'ul bihi. Darastuha, I learned it or I studied it. Fi harf jar, and then we have majroor madrasatin islamiyatin, in an Islamic school. Al-Mudarrisu, the teacher. Afi Britaniyata. Okay, Britaniyata. Why is it Fatha over here? Mamnu min as-sarf, because it's the name of the country, right? So we know the names of the countries are Mamnu min as-sarf. Afi Britaniyata. Madarisu Islamiyatun. Madarisu is the plural of madrasatun. Ghayru aqilin. Broken plural. So it's treated as singular feminine. So that's why the sifa that we use for this will be also singular feminine. Afi Britaniyatan madarisu islamiyatun. Are there Islamic institutes or Islamic schools in England or in Britain? So here, where is the mubtada and where is khabar? Yes, madarisu islamiyatun will be mubtada muakhar, and fi Britaniyata will be khabar muqaddam. Munir, naam, yes. Kam madrasatan hunaka. How many schools are there? Okay, we know that after kam, the noun is singular. Also, we know that it is mansub, and also we know that it is a common noun. So where will be the mubtada and where will be khabar in this sentence? Hunaka, do you know about
will
hunaka?
be the
Huna is a dharf. We have discussed many times. Huna and hunaka, both of them are dharf. Huna here, hunaka there. Here and there in English, even if you look at English, they talk about the place, and that's why they are dharf. So kam will be mubtada and hunaka will be khabar. And madrasatan is basically the tamiz of kam. So that's why we will say kam is harf istifham. So harf istifham can be mubtada. When it can be mubtada, when we have after that, when we have shibhu jumla, when we have jar majroor, or after that when we have dharf and we have dharf. So hunaka is dharf, and we know that dharf cannot be mubtada. So we will say kam is mubtada and hunaka is khabar. And madrasatan is the tamiz of kam. Did you get the idea?
yes.
Okay, so kam is mubtada and hunaka is khabar. Why hunaka is khabar? Because it is a dharf. And dharf, we know, huna and hunak, both of them are dharf, and we know they cannot be subject, they will be always predicate. Munirun, Munir, la adri, I don't know, bidabti, for sure. La adri bidabti, I don't know, for sure. So we know here that la adri is basically a verbal sentence because it starts with the verb. I don't know. Bidabti is jar majroor, I don't know, for sure. Al-madarisu, mubtada kathiratun, a lot. There are a lot of schools. Okay, now al-madarisu is mubtada and kathiratun is khabar. Why khabar is feminine?
Al-madarisu, sir,
Is غير عاقل, and this is the plural of madrasatun. So that's why this is singular feminine. It is treated as singular feminine, and that's why the khabar has to be also singular feminine. All right, alhamdulillah, we are done with the lesson. Do you have any questions? Inshallah, it's an easy lesson. Consists of lots of information. Most of the things we already know, and inshallah, the rest of the things we will discuss in the exercises. Subhanaka Allahumma wa bihamdika. Ashhadu an la ilaha illa anta astaghfiruka wa atubu ilayk. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.